and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. Today, Kelly Eisner, our good friend from the American Red Cross, will be joining us for an update. First, though, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, it is raw and damp, 39 degrees right now. The light rain, the drizzle, the mist will continue throughout the day today, with the temperatures not warming up more than where they are right now, right about 40 degrees. A chilly night tonight. The showers will linger. Lows this evening into the upper 30s. A little better tomorrow. Could start out with some early morning showers, but then the wind is going to pick up tomorrow with temperatures in the lower 40s, so it'll feel a lot colder than that with a wind chill. Look at tomorrow night, down to the upper 20s. Slight improvement on Wednesday, mix of sun and clouds, and highs Wednesday in the mid to upper 40s. I think Thursday is kind of the pick, really, with a mix of sun and clouds, not as windy, and highs Thursday in the lower 50s with, you guessed it, more rain on the way for Friday. So enjoy those couple of days in the middle of this week, because right now it's cold and raw, 39 degrees in Quincy. Checking out the news for you today, leaders of the Quincy Interfaith Network are urging Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch to reconsider his plans to install two 10-foot-tall bronze statues of Roman Catholic saints Michael and Florian at the entrance to the new public safety complex that's being built on C Street. In a letter signed by 19 religious leaders, the Interfaith Network says that no single religious tradition should be elevated in a publicly funded facility. The statement goes on to say that the statues would send a message that there are insiders and outsiders in the community, and that one of the statues depicts violent imagery that's not appropriate for a facility dedicated to public safety. Now, the members are urging the mayor to install secular designs that reflect the entire community. That statement is signed by leaders of Unitarian, Methodist, Lutheran, Presbyterian, Nazarene, and Congregational institutions, and Rabbi Alfred Benjamin from Temple Beth Shalom of the Blue Hills in Milton. The issue of salaries for the Quincy mayor and city councilors is back. Tonight, Quincy City Council will review two ordinances proposed by Council President Ian Kane that deal with the salary issue. Now, the ordinances set the annual salaries for the mayor at $285,000 and city councilors at $47,500. The start dates for the new salaries have not been set, although both the mayor and councilors have agreed to wait until the start of their next elective terms. The ordinances also adjust the salaries annually based on the percentage change of the Consumer Price Index for our area, and they establish an independent committee to review the salaries every 5 years. The City Council would appoint the review committee. The measures also tie any salary adjustments to performance issues, such as financial management, achievement of goals, and community satisfaction. There will be expanded ferry service from Marina Bay in Quincy this year. Beginning April 28th, the MBTA will launch the seasonal ferry service between Quincy, Winthrop, and Boston. And then on May 24th, a new dedicated weekend service will launch from Quincy to Boston. Mayor Thomas Koch is encouraged by the T's commitment to water transportation.
Yeah, really delighted that the MBTA has stepped up and really taken on this mode of transportation with seriousness. They have a new division and a gentleman overseeing it. They bought two boats from New York, ferry boats. One will be operated directly out of Quincy. There'll be a lot more times for people, and there's also going to be weekend service roughly between Memorial Day and Columbus Day. So it adds an awful lot of value, I think, to Marina Bay. And some people before used it, but the times weren't great. There'll be more times for your schedule. So I think that more people avail themselves to it, and it's dependable transportation in the good weather, and you can sit and read a book or just enjoy the harbor views, and you're not cursing going through the traffic of 93 and the expressway. So I do think it will pick up ridership. The Hingham Ferry's been very successful over the years, and as you know, we had a ferry years ago at the Forever Shipyard.
Yep.
before that ended because of the conditions of the wharf. So I do think there's an appetite for it, and I appreciate the work that the MBTA has provided. And, Senator Keenan and Representative Ayers have been huge advocates for this for a long time, as well as Councilor Bill Harris. So everybody's working hard on it. My staff worked on a grant with the T, a $4 million grant to rebuild the pier.
Yeah.
So that'll be underway this year as well. So hopefully that dream of a year-round robust ferry service is coming closer, Joe.
The weekday and the weekend service will have stops at the Seaport in Boston and at Logan Airport. A one-way trip is still $6.50. Parking is still free at Squantum Point Park. Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch says that spring projects are well underway across the city. In a recent update, Koch says everything from street sweeping to road rebuilding projects are in full swing.
And our Public Works Department is out cleaning, sweeping the neighborhoods, filling potholes, and getting ready for spring and the summertime on our 400th year anniversary. So if you see a pothole, don't assume we know it's there. We'd ask you to call it in at the number on the screen. It'll make sure Public Works crews get out and get that filled and taken care of. Also, as the leaves come out on the trees, it's going to feel darker on streets. So if you do have a street light that is out, again, we don't necessarily know that unless somebody lets us know, calls it in. So there's a number on the screen for that, for street lights if they're out. So we ask you to help us with those things. We're also going to see very aggressive street work again this year. I just want to remind everybody that Newport Avenue, Furnace-Brook Parkway, and Southern Artery up to Field Street are all National Grid projects. The electric line, a major line, 113 volt, has been replaced underground. Now the work on the street, and they're paying for that. It's on their dime. It'll all be done over the next few months. So I know that people travel Newport Ave frequently, Southern Artery, and it's been frustrating. I've been frustrated driving over it at times, and I have a truck. But so those will be underway. Newport Ave is already underway for that matter.
Mayor says city projects include rebuilding Independence Avenue, plus a portion of Hancock Street. I know you couldn't see the phone numbers. Call the mayor's office for information at 617-376-1990. 44 Quincy Public Schools students recently completed the second annual Early College High School Pathway Program at Quincy College. The 7th, 8th, and 9th graders from Quincy's 2 high schools spent 5 Saturdays in March at the Point Webster Middle School taking college-level courses in communications, leadership, statistics, STEM, technology, and college and career readiness, all designed to give middle schoolers a sense of college-level coursework. Those students also participated in a community service project, assembling 200 hygiene kits for donation to Father Bill's in Mainspring. The Early College High School program is designed to give younger students who are likely to enroll in college an early taste of college life. Well, we now know the second concert that will be held at Veterans Memorial Stadium in Quincy this summer to celebrate the Quincy 400th anniversary. John Fogerty will perform on Sunday, August 3rd, the day after Darius Rucker performs. Fogerty was the frontman for Creedence Clearwater Revival. He'll bring his celebration tour to Quincy. Special guest Hardy Har, Fogerty's 2 sons, will be performing with him. Pre-sale tickets for Quincy residents go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. through Friday at 10 a.m. Just go to quincy400.com. Then tickets for the general public go on sale Friday at 10. By the way, tickets for the Darius Rucker concert are already sold out. It's our check of news for you today. Coming up, an update from the American Red Cross with Kelly Eisner. That's next. Welcome back. Well, it may be gray and dreary and gloomy outside, but our very good friend from the American Red Cross, Kelly Eisner, is bringing sunshine and happiness here to the studio. Great to see you, Kelly.
Thank you, Joe, but that makes my day.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely. We'd love to see you and get the updates from the Red Cross as well. It's something that affects everyone at one point in their lives, either being assisted by the Red Cross or somebody helping the Red Cross out, right?
Or both.
Or both.
We have a lot of people that came to us as a volunteer volunteer after we came to them as an aid organization. So it kind of comes full circle. It's really
Yeah,
beautiful.
Which is nice to see, I'm sure. Was that your story as well?
I actually went the other way.
Okay.
I started I took a Red Cross babysitting class when I was 12 years old, learned CPR, then I was a lifeguard, then when I got old enough I became a blood donor, so I went into it that way. I'm very lucky that I haven't had to use the Red Cross services, but I really believe in paying it forward.
For sure, yeah. I guess we don't often talk about the classes that the Red Cross offers.
It's true,
but there
yes.
are many, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. I just looked up, just last year alone, we did something like 145,000 people trained in Massachusetts
Wow.
in things like first aid, how to use an AED. Office buildings have these AEDs
Yes.
everywhere, but you have to know how to use them.
Yes.
CPR, even just something as simple as we do a program called hands-only CPR,
Okay.
which it's not the full, with the rescue breaths and everything, it's not the big class, but this is something that in an emergency, you can prolong someone's life just by doing compressions.
Wow.
And it's a easier way to kind of get that life-saving skill without committing to a whole day.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, depending on where you are, those few minutes could be the difference between life and death, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of our volunteers, one of our longtime volunteers, he's also a CPR instructor, and he makes a point of saying at the beginning of every class, look, I'm an older gentleman with a little extra around the waist. I want everyone around me to be trained in CPR, but it makes a really good point. I think about it for when my family members are out in town and when I am as well.
For sure, yeah. So, I mean, you figured in an urban setting, the first responders' response time could be anywhere from maybe 3 to 9 minutes, something like that. So if you
Yes.
can buy some time while they get there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Make their job easier.
Absolutely. So, and the AEDs, the automatic external defibrillators,
Defibrillators, yep.
right? Yeah,
Sorry,
which are
with
really
the
important
acronyms.
for life-saving aspects as well.
Absolutely, knowing where they are. Even if you don't have the exact training yet, knowing where they are in a room, you can point it to someone else. We also remind people to just designate, if you're ever in that situation, designate a person that's going to be the one to call for help. Not like, oh, can someone call 911? It's like, Joe, you go call 911.
Right.
Little things like that really can, again, save lives or extend lives.
Yeah, because you don't know in that setting, your emotions are going to be running wild, and there's going to be a lot of stress and anxiety. So to have things planned out ahead of time, key.
We're all about it.
Absolutely. And disaster training, that's a whole separate area for Red Cross, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Under our humanitarian services team. It's always interesting because people know us for one of many things that we do, and people I think forget sometimes that the Red Cross is one big organization that's doing blood donations and first aid training, and we're responding to disasters right now. We have 12 Massachusetts volunteers deployed to, not all in Kentucky, but sort of in that area because of the deadly flooding that we've seen there. I wrote down that there are 80 of our emergency response vehicles positioned either on standby or already in the theater. It's really a devastating situation out there right now.
They've already been hit hard with severe storms last week, devastating tornadoes and severe storms that have blown through it. Now they're facing this flooding potential as well.
Yep.
So
There's so many rivers that are reaching the maximum flood stage. I think it's 70 rivers right now
Wow.
that are
Yeah.
at their major flood stage. And yes, it's a very tenuous situation. And we're seeing that at the Red Cross all the time. We're in what we call a state of continuous response, where we're responding to a major disaster every 15 days.
really,
There was a weekend in March where there were, I believe, I have to write this down because I don't want to get the numbers wrong. It was more than 100 tornadoes just between March 13th and 15th.
Really.
And in March, usually there's an average of about 80
Okay.
the whole month. And this
Okay.
is in 2 days.
In 2 days.
So it's definitely something that we're seeing. And to bring it back to preparedness, that's what we do here in Massachusetts, is make sure that our volunteers are trained in exactly how the Red Cross goes and delivers services, so that we can call up our volunteers to say, hey, is there anyone that can go to Indiana or to Kentucky, wherever it's happening, to help the people that need it most right
Sure,
now?
because the folks in the hard-hit areas are dealing with their own personal problems, right? In their own personal
Exactly.
lives, yeah.
And we do see that so much. Someone that they're safe, but maybe their neighbors are staying in a shelter, they'll come and volunteer because they see it hit in their own homes.
Sure.
It's really amazing. It gives you new faith in humanity when you see people just raising their hand to help.
I guess it kind of bears the question, are your resources sufficient to respond to these needs?
I mean, the Red Cross is volunteer funded.
Yeah.
90% of our staff are volunteer. We call them staff, we use that word, but it doesn't mean a paycheck.
Right,
It just means people giving their time.
But they're working like staff, like
yes.
full-time, yes. Yeah.
Yes, these deployments especially, it's a 2-week deployment. Usually you can get one day off in somewhere in that 2 weeks, usually. But it's amazing the passion that the volunteers bring to this work. And it's, I have to point out too that the Red Cross does run on generosity of public donations as
Absolutely,
well.
yeah.
So.
But the task at hand is blood donations, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's another great way to help the Red Cross.
Yes, for sure. So what's the current blood supply look like, and where did it need to be?
Right now, we are seeing there's always a constant need for blood.
Yeah.
Every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood. Right now, we are, preparing for, we know that the summer demand is going to go up. And at the same time, we see it every year. Donations tend to drop. There's a lot going on in the summer. So we do encourage people to make that appointment and keep that appointment while you can, because it's always needed. You might not know who you're helping, but you're helping someone every time you roll a sleeve.
Yep. And, I think it's important to always talk about when you're here, Kelly, who can donate blood and how can they do that?
Of course.
Yeah.
So most people can donate, depending on if you have chronic health conditions. Sometimes, as long as they're well managed, generally you're going to be able to donate. You have to be 110 pounds, over 18. Some states it's 17 with parents' permission. We encourage everyone who is going to donate to drink water. You want to have about 16 ounces, so that's one big bottle extra, more than you would normally drink in the day before you go. And just make sure you're feeling okay. If you've got the sniffles or something, maybe just reschedule that appointment just to make sure that you're in your best health.
Okay. And how often can one donate?
You can donate whole blood every 56 days.
Okay.
So about 6 weeks,
Okay.
give or take. Platelets you can donate every week, every 7 days.
Oh, okay. Now, I read not too long ago there was a special need for platelets right now.
There's always a need for platelets.
Yeah.
And part of that is because of just what they are. So they're a clotting component in your blood, which means they can't be frozen. They have to be fresh when they're transfused into a patient.
I see.
So they have a shelf life of about 5 days, and donors can only donate every 7 days. So I'm not a math person.
No, right, yes,
but that doesn't add up.
Okay.
And they have to, the difference with a platelet donation too is that it happens at one of our fixed sites. So the nearest one to here is in Weymouth, where you can go in. It takes a little bit longer if you're planning an hour to donate, whole blood. Platelets, I would plan for maybe 2.5.
Oh, okay.
But we give you Netflix. You can sit and watch TV while you do it.
Of course. Okay. You have to entertain them somehow, right?
Exactly. I feel like there's a basketball tournament coming on too that I'm not allowed to say the name of.
Could be something, yeah. All right. What is the actual process for donating blood?
Sure. So when you get it, first of all, we do encourage people to make an appointment.
Yes.
If you forget, we can usually accommodate walk-ins, but making the appointment helps us take better care of our donors.
Probably some pre-form paperwork that can be handled too, right? If
Exactly.
You register, yeah.
We have something called a Rapid Pass, which goes through some of the preliminary health questions. They'll ask you about your travel, things like that.
Yeah.
It shaves about 15 minutes off the whole history process, which is great.
Yeah.
So you get to your donation, you check in, you're going to go to the health history area first, so that's when the phlebotomist will talk to you about just kind of basic health needs. You'll have a mini physical, so they'll take your blood pressure, they'll check your iron levels, make sure everything is in the right place to donate. The actual blood donation is about 15 minutes, give or take, when you're on the bed, and then we do ask everyone to stay a little bit longer at the end to rehydrate and to eat some cookies.
Sure.
We have to twist arms for that.
Oh, I'm sure, right? Yeah. Okay. So good to plan ahead. RedCrossBlood.org or
Exactly.
1-800-RED-CROSS.
Yep.
Or your blood donor app.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better.
Got it down by now, Kelly. If I don't, then something's wrong. Are marrow donations also something that the Red Cross deals with?
We don't facilitate those directly, but I know there's lots of great agencies in that are working in that space, and we work with hospitals that do those collections as well. But it's not really the Red Cross's mission.
Not the purview of the Red Cross. Okay, you've got enough on your plate to begin with.
One or two things.
Yeah, exactly. I know you just came off a big drive to help folks with their A1C levels, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's part of a public health initiative just to give people a little bit more information. A1C is I'm going to get this wrong. It's a hemoglobin it bonds to your hemoglobin, but basically knowing your A1C level can tell you if you are either pre-diabetic
Yes.
or at risk for diabetes, or possibly diabetic and undiagnosed. And it doesn't replace having a conversation with your doctor, but it just kind of gives you a little bit more information, take ownership of your health.
Sure.
That was something that we did all through the month of March, and I'm told that the program is going to be coming back in future months too. I don't know when exactly yet. But
Okay, all right, good to know and look out for. The next blood donation drive here in Quincy is going to be April 15th. From 9 to 2 at the John Adams Building, which is up at State Street in North Quincy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 1776 Heritage Drive, which, the chances of that happening are incredible that building gets that number.
Well, it is Quincy after all. And typically, I know you're at the Sons of Italy Hall at least once a month, at least in the fall and spring months as well.
Absolutely, and we love to see our donors. We try to be in the community as much as we can, and then of course we have fixed site donations across the state as well. Sometimes that's easier when people are going to a building that says Red Cross on
Yep.
the outside of it. They know where they're going.
For sure.
Weymouth again is closest here, but
Okay.
we're in Kingston, Boston.
And Dedham's not that far.
Dedham's not that far.
Dedham Center as well, which just consolidated, right?
Yes.
Became a main headquarters. Yeah.
Yes, we have now all our whole Eastern Mass population of humanitarian has moved into what was already the Biomed headquarters. We still have locations we have an office in Lawrence, we have one out on the Cape in Hyannis, Worcester and Springfield, but the greater Boston folks all now come to Dedham. It's great because now we, our biomedical folks, our training services folks, and our humanitarian folks all get to share the same space.
Yeah,
It's
a
nice.
huge complex.
Yeah.
Used to be the Rustcraft greeting card company, by the way.
I know.
Just to let you know. It's on Rustcraft Road, that's
You
why.
can tell the true old Bostonians or old Massachusettsians.
That would be me.
I wish. I sadly grew up in New York, but I can claim this place now. I've been here almost 20 years.
We love you anyway.
Thank you.
Tell me about a big event this week.
Yes, we're having, it's our largest fundraiser all year. It's the Boston Heroes Breakfast. And what we love about this is that the Red Cross gives out awards. Every year the categories change slightly, but they all tie back to the Red Cross mission. So for example, we have 8 categories this year. One is our Blood Services Hero, a wonderful lady named Laverne who she runs a charity that works in the domestic violence advocacy space, but she also donates blood regularly and has started donating platelets. And she really has just taken advocacy on because she sees how there's a need for blood products oftentimes for domestic abuse survivors
I see.
In the hospital. Really just inspirational stories. Our firefighter award is going to 8 members of the Boston Fire Department who responded to a really tragic fire in East Boston. We have a law enforcement category that these 2 officers in Springfield saved a gentleman from jumping off a bridge.
Wow.
It's such, sorry.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful morning
Yeah.
of just inspirational stories, and everything really ties back to that humanitarian spirit that started here in Massachusetts with Clara Barton. We really take pride in the fact that she's from here. She went on to do great things, but she started here.
That's fantastic. And that is Wednesday, is it?
Wednesday morning, 8 a.m.
At State Room in Boston.
At the State Room in Boston. It's down in the Financial District.
Okay, so sold out, unfortunately.
Yes,
Right.
but I would encourage people to go to our website.
Yeah.
You can read about the heroes. Consider making a donation to support.
Well, right. Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, the big event is on 9/11 every year, right?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have our big blood drive at Fenway Park. I don't have a ton of details with timing.
Okay.
I know
We'll
it
have
always,
you back before then.
Yes, definitely.
But that's on the website later on this year as
It
well.
will be
Yeah.
for sure.
Anything else we should let folks know about?
No, just as always, thank you guys. I have volunteers that come from Quincy, and
Yay.
they say they've seen me on. So
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Nice.
It's the Red Cross is a huge organization, but really we're also a local community-based organization.
For
We're
sure.
in all these towns, just working to make sure that our neighbors are taken care of as well. And
Is there any kind of like a volunteer appreciation event?
actually, funny, I didn't think to mention that ahead of time, but Volunteer Appreciation Week is April 20th to 25th,
Oh.
and we have multiple events. I mentioned, we have offices all over the state. It's because we don't want our Springfield volunteers to have to come all the way to
Certainly.
Dedham.
Right, yeah.
So we do, there's usually food,
Yeah.
a little gift, little thank you recognition, and sometimes we give out awards for really, really, really awesome volunteers.
That's
So
great. Excellent. Always great to see you, Kelly. Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Joe.
You are very welcome. Come back again soon.
Will do.
All right.
Thank you.
Just enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day. Today, yes, what you see is what you get. It's rainy and chilly with temperatures only around 40 degrees, upper 30s tonight. It's not going to rain much tomorrow. Might start out kind of damp. We'll see some sunshine. The old mother west wind really going to pick up tomorrow with temperatures in the lower 40s, feeling colder than that. Not bad on Wednesday, sunny upper 40s, and even nicer on Thursday with sun and clouds, highs in the low 50s. Thanks again to Kelly Eisner for joining us from the American Red Cross.
Thank you.
Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching Friday here on the show. Hillary Miller from the Friends of the Thomas Crane Public Library stops by for an update. Meantime, you can visit our website anytime. It's qatv.org. Find all of our latest programs. There's news, information, video on demand, live streaming, much more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great week.